Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Conor Devlin e ecco la mia presentazione. Dai, Italian Aerospace, at the intersection of history and the future. When many people think about the country of Italy, they only think of its rich history, its natural beauty, its astounding architecture, or its world-class food and wine. And who can blame them? These are, of course, some of Italy's best exports. Or perhaps people are drawn to the likes of explorers like Galileo and Columbus, or inventors and artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Many of these famous Italian explorers, engineers, and artists are responsible for cultivating the rich and complex history of the Italian peninsula, even before it unified into the modern Italian state. But what many people outside of Italy don't understand is the manner in which these individuals paved the way for modern day Italians to continue the strong tradition of innovation. Over the past century, Italy has cemented itself as a world-class player in innovation and technology, especially in the fields of aviation and aerospace. Famous Italian cultural icons like Fiat, which was founded in Turin in 1899, have directly led the way for some of the first Italian aviation and aerospace industries. Furthermore, modern day Italian cultural icons like Ferrari and Lamborghini, etc., all rely on technology from the Italian aerospace manufacturers. Now, let's look a little bit more closely at what exactly modern day Italy is doing in regards to pushing the bounds of technology in the aerospace industry and what ways this is benefiting both Italy and the rest of the world. In the decades following the Second World War, Italian manufacturers rebuilt themselves and worked quickly to regain international attention. In the middle of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, Italy became just the third country in the world to launch and operate a satellite in orbit. In 1975, Italy became one of the founding members of the European Space Agency, or ESA, which is the European equivalent of NASA. Since then, Italy has become the world's seventh most significant aerospace contributor, grouping it with much larger companies and countries like the United States, Russia, China, and India. Italy has indeed contributed greatly to many international projects in space. The Italian aerospace industry can be found throughout the country. There are indeed 11 recognized Italian aerospace districts throughout the regions of Italy. The most important are in Lombardy, Campania, Lazio, Piemonte, and Apulia. But many other companies operate in Basilicata, Emilia-Romagna, Liguria, Sardinia, Toscana, and Umbria. There's a very big difference between these companies, however. While the northern regions, like Lombardy and Piemonte, have historically been the center of the aerospace industry in Italy, the southern regions are much newer and much more flexible. Old companies in the north now work with new startups and individuals in the south. This helps spread technology and information throughout Italy, boosting not only the traditionally well-off north, but also the south. Two of the most essential and important Italian aerospace companies are Thales Alenia and Leonardo. Some estimates claim that nearly 50% of the habitable parts of the International Space Station were designed, built, or integrated in Turin by Thales Alenia. This includes parts such as the Columbus module and the very famous cupola. Many people point out that many famous Italian icons translate well into space. For example, Cesare Lobascio, who is indeed a Berkeley alumni and also an important leader at Thales Alenia, compared the very famous features of Italian architecture and culture with their equivalents in space. In a presentation he gave last year, he compared the Mole Antonelliana in Turin to a rocket being launched into the sky. Furthermore, the cupola that I mentioned earlier it's even more famous Basilica di San Pietro in the Vatican. Furthermore, here's Italy's most famous astronaut, Samantha Cristoforetti, in the cupola. She recently became the first European woman to command the International Space Station. What an incredible feat for the country of Italy. In the future, Italy is working with international partners to develop solutions to problems regarding human travel to the moon and Mars. Italy contributed significantly to the most recent Mars rover and built components of the new NASA Artemis program, which aims to bring humans back to the moon. As part of this, the Italian Republic has signed on to the Artemis Accords, an international agreement to work together to put the first woman and the first person of color on the moon in 2025. With an annual revenue of over 20 billion euros and a workforce somewhere between 50 and 150,000, Italy's aerospace sector is strong and likely to continue to grow in considerable influence in the coming years. While the Italian aerospace industry may not be as well known as other aspects of Italian culture, it is indeed an integral part of its history and will become an essential part of its future. Italy is a country built on tradition and innovation, technology and exploration. Like many of Italy's other traditions, it will likely continue to play a key part in Italian society for generations to come. Grazie a tutti. Ciao.